Well, hey guys, welcome to the Winning at Work and Home podcast, episode number 6. If you're watching on YouTube, kind of in a different environment. I'm here at our new office space, and it is kind of so new that in this particular room, this conference room, there's no ventilation. There's no air circulation going on through here. So, if you are watching on the YouTube video and you start to see some sweat dripping down my face, and maybe I unbutton my shirt another notch, which maybe my wife would like a little bit, but she always teases me. I like to have my buttons up, not all the way to the top, not that old school, but I don't like to have any of that chest showing. I feel like I'm on vacation in Mexico if I unbutton too much, and it's funny, she always teases me. So there's going to be no unbuttoning of the shirt. I'll just be really hot in here. But anyways, I appreciate you guys listening to this. Again, if you are watching on YouTube, thank you so much for joining me on there. So this podcast, this is the 6th episode. I'm having a good time with it. It's not that hard for me to talk and share. I know sometimes my wife, one of the big things that I've been trying to work on more, and I think a lot of us as individuals and men, we try to work on that, is to listen more. So this is my opportunity really to kind of share and talk and get it all out. So then when I am hanging out with Julie, maybe relaxing with the kids, that Dad isn't just, verbalizing everything, that I'm actually maybe asking some questions, being quiet, shutting up, and actually listening to what people say. And it's interesting, that's one of the things that I'm aware of, that I'm trying to work on, which is so important, I think, as individuals, that we have people in our life that can be honest with us and can kind of share with us our struggles and what it is we need to work on. So, I'm happy to have a partner in real estate that can often tell me that. It's like, hey, one of the things that you need to work on is listening more. And it's funny too, because it's the same thing for him as well. We have similar personalities. So again, it's nice that I'm able to share with you on this podcast. What I want to talk about today, and I don't want to repeat everything because it pretty much says what this podcast is about in the intro, is really just getting better, just learning and growing. I always I always share this with you guys, but listen, life is challenging. It's hard. If you have kids, if you have a parent, if you are a parent, if you have the income that you have to make, which we all have to do, if you have to manage a household, with kids or without kids, whatever it may be, relationships can be tricky, all these different things. Our health, our body isn't getting any younger, it's getting older. I did a workout yesterday, and you guys know this, and if you listen the first time, you may not, obviously, but I do CrossFit. I did a workout yesterday that was so funny because, CrossFit, a lot of it's timed, or there's a time cap on the workout. And I think it was like a 40-minute time cap. And I also don't like to quit, and I like to finish. So I was it was an hour class. People, and that's kind of the thing in CrossFit. If you don't know CrossFit, everybody kind of waits till everybody's done, right? So if you finish a workout in, let's say 10 minutes, but people are still going at 18 minutes or 20 minutes, you don't start putting your weights away and leave. You're there to support. And it's so funny because yesterday, man, my workout was so long, people just had to leave. Like, they couldn't wait around. They had to get back to work. And it was funny, like, people were leaving in the parking lot, driving off, and like, good luck, Damon, keep it up. And I'm still, doing my thing, trying to get through the workout. I don't know why I told you that story. I forget where I was going with that. But either way, hopefully it was a funny story and a good story. Oh, I know what it was. I was talking about how life is hard and challenging, and that was definitely challenging in regards to the body, and the mind, because mentally, when you do something like that for an hour and you want to quit, like 20 times during the workout, and to be able to push through and continue, that helps you right there with that discipline, being able to finish things. So what I want to talk about a little bit today is I always like to hit about 3 or 4 topics. And all of these things, hopefully what it does is it helps you to grow, and we learn, and like I say, if you can just pull one little nugget out of it, if you can just pull one little thing, that you can begin to apply, or one little tweak. Often it's if we can just hear one thing. And it's interesting, a lot of this stuff we may know, but a different way of saying it, or a different approach, or a different emotion or time that you may be feeling, then it kind of sparks you to hopefully take action. If I say something in regards to business, and you're maybe at a downtime right now in your business, you're feeling a little bit guilty because you should be doing better, there's some things out there that you should be doing, but you're just not doing them, and you're in that emotional state of just not feeling good, or a little bit of disgust and just frustration because you can never do, and then you hear some words that push you in a certain direction that have to do with business, or apply directly to what it is that's being said, and that sometimes is a catapult to start to take you in a new direction. So that's so important. Basically, the mindset and where you're at, because sometimes if your mindset is kind of crappy and not that good, that's okay, because you're in that place and you want to do something about it. Sometimes when everything's all good and running, 100%, this and that, then often we have a tendency to not look for any solutions or a better way, and we're just not aware of it, right? We're not trying to change anything because we think that it's going all perfect and all good, but we always should be adjusting. We always should be learning and growing. So one of the things that I want to talk about, and let me get a drink here, some coffee. Cold coffee. Actually, it's kind of lukewarm, but that's all right. One of the things I want to talk about, I was thinking about this morning, is, we have a tendency to make things complicated, avoiding the obvious. Now listen to that statement. I think we have a tendency to make things more complicated than they are, and we're really avoiding the obvious. And I think the reason we do that is to avoid the work. Now listen, I think life, and I talked about it all the time, I don't think it's easy. It's not easy, but it doesn't have to be complicated or confusing, right? And I think what we do is often we make things complicated, okay? And really, we know in our heart, we know in our mind, we understand that there is an obvious solution to it, but we avoid that to really avoid the work that we need to get done. Now, let me give you some examples or some context in regards to that. I'm in the real estate business. I have a team, we have an office. There's certain things in real estate, and I believe in all types of business as well. There's not a dozen or 1,000 things that you need to do to be successful. There's usually about 1 to 3 things, especially if you're a real estate agent, that you need to do consistently on a daily basis and or weekly basis that will bring you your greatest success, right? But so often what we do is we avoid the obvious things, we avoid the things that we really should be doing, and we try to complicate the things that we should be doing, right? We try to look, well, maybe if I did this, maybe if I did that, I'm doing this, but that's not working. All these different things, okay, when deep down in our heart, we know what it is that we should do, but we avoid it. We try to look at other things. We try to look at other things that we could be doing, but what we're doing is we're really spinning our wheels. And that's so obvious. In real estate, just to give you an example, and if you're in any type of sales, which a lot of us are in sales, a lot of people that watch this video when you're in the title business or the mortgage business or real estate or just whatever it may be. I know I coach some financial guys. It's really the sales and communicating. It's the person that can contact the most people and bring them value on a daily basis. That's really what it is. But often it's those little basic things that maybe seem monotonous, or they seem mundane, or there's stuff that we really don't want to do because it doesn't seem that exciting, or we take the wrong mindset, and then we don't do it. And a lot of times it's out of fear or just to avoid the work, you know? Sometimes we have the wrong mindset. We feel that if we contact people that it's kind of annoying to them or what they might say or different things like that. And we have a poor mindset. But I really think that's the case. You know, it could be in relationships, right? In relationships, your marriage or whatever it may be. There are some obvious things, okay, that you can do on a daily basis to strengthen your marriage, to keep your marriage healthy, to keep the other person's love tank full. But what we do is we get lazy and we think that we just are confused and we just don't know what to do for our spouse. And that's not necessarily the case. Now I'm hitting on this love language thing again. Hopefully you guys have taken the test. But listen, there's a certain way that we receive love. Often it's the opposite way, or often our spouses or the person we're in a relationship with, often it's the opposite of ours, right? Because opposites usually attract. So what happens is speaking that other person's love language seems foreign to us. Okay, it seems foreign. It's not easy. If you're not words of affirmation, okay, speaking kind, but your spouse is, speaking kind words to your spouse seems foreign, right? It's just not what you do, right? Because it's not your love language. But it's obvious that that's what they need. But going back to the statement, often we avoid the obvious to really not put in the work. And we have a tendency to overcomplicate. You know, sometimes we could go real deep on this, and sometimes it's because, you know, people just like drama in their life, right? They just like to complain and whine. So that's, oh, my spouse never blah, 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 you know, the kids and my job and blah, 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 all this different stuff because, you know, then they're able to whine, they're able to complain, and they're able to get people they think to listen to them. And then if you get two people to whine and two people that like to complain, then they can really, you know, get into it and drown in their sorrows and their misery of their relationships and their business, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes we avoid doing the obvious thing that's going to bring us to success because, you know, then what are we going to have to whine about? We won't have anything to whine about anymore. But it's so true. So understand that in relationships sometimes we avoid it. We avoid the obvious because, you know, either we're just lazy or we don't want to put in the work or we want to have something to whine about, so then we don't do it. You know, it's the same thing with our health too. If we're to go in our health, right? It's obvious what you need to do. It's obvious. You need to work out and you need to eat decent. You know, if you just started working out, and I talked about this before, guys, so you know, it's not complicated. You need to exercise, I don't know, 20 to 30 minutes a day. You could just take a brisk walk outside and then don't put bad stuff in your body. I mean, seriously, you can live, and that's one of the things that I told you I write down, nothing bad in. That's what I write down every day, nothing bad in. So when I look at it, so I can, you know, come to an office meeting, and like I said, now it's great at our office meetings, you know, people bring in healthy food, so it's perfect. I don't have to do that. But before, let's say it was an office meeting, and I'm looking at a donut, maybe a Krispy Kreme donut, which is really hard, right? Because they're super, super good, soft, and even if it's warm, you know, and wow, okay, I just totally got distracted because that sounds really good. But I can easily look at that and say, is that good for my body? Nope. Okay, do not put it in your mouth. And I know that it sounds simple. It is simple. Okay, it's definitely not easy, but it's simple. And that's what I talked about. Sometimes we have a tendency, again, going back to it, to make things complicated, avoiding the obvious so we don't have to put the work in, right? Because it's not easy necessarily to eat good all the time. It's not easy to do the exercise, right? But that's what we need to do. So how do we complicate? We complicate it by saying, gosh, you know what? I need to work out. I just don't know what to do. I know there's a gym down the road, but I'm not sure how much their membership is. I know I hear people talking about CrossFit all the time, but I don't think that I'm ready for that. It seems kind of intense. And, you know, I feel that I need to get in a little more shape before I actually start the CrossFit. You know, with that, I don't know, like how many days a week do I go in and work out? And we start going through all this this stuff and we make it way, way, way more complicated than it actually is. No, don't put bad stuff in your body, fast food, soda, whatever it may be, and then go work out and exercise on a daily basis, right? Don't make it confusing. So that's the point, and hopefully, this whole thing, wow, it's getting hot in here. That's like a song, isn't it? What's that song? I'm not going to sing it, I'm not going to rap it either, but man, it is getting hot. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you may start to see the sweat coming down. I got to avoid the sun too, because we're kind of in a glass conference room, a glass from the outside. I'm kind of looking out the street here, and the sun keeps moving, so I got to keep shifting where I'm not just getting, beat down by the sun. All right, there you go. There's my little whining. Actually, not whining. The sun feels good. In Colorado here, it feels really, really good right now, because we're in, what month are we in? Oh, November, almost Thanksgiving. But anyways, all right, let me bring it back in regards to this. I want to talk another thing about a post that I did, a Mindset Minute, and I got this from listening to a video with Gary Vee, and I just like him so much. I think he's this intense, man. He's really, really incredibly smart. And it was funny, he talks about, somebody asked him the question, do you ever think about doing this or that, and blah, blah, blah. And he really he made the statement, I'm not in the I'm gonna business. I execute and actually do. And I just thought that was so powerful. I'm not in the I'm gonna business. And, as we go through this, when I make these statements, so when I was talking about the tendency to make things complicated, I'm gonna business, I really, 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 really need you to focus on yourself and ask yourself, how this applies to you. But I thought that was so unique. I'm not in the I'm gonna business. And so many people are in that business. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna, take my wife out on date nights. I'm gonna spend more time with the kids. I'm gonna go ahead and start to eat better. I'm gonna go ahead and make the calls every single day that I need to make in my business. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna write the handwritten notes. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, but they never actually execute. And it's interesting. Now I understand that you have to make a decision, right? You say, I'm gonna do this, and I understand, that statement or that word has to come out at some particular point. But so often what people do is they stay in that space. They stay in the I'm gonna do this or that space, and they never execute. So I really want you to think about your life. What have you been saying that you're going to do that you have been saying for a little longer than you may want? Think about that. What is it? What have you been saying? Maybe it has to do something in your business. Maybe it has to do something as a parent. Maybe your health, where you've been way too long in that I'm going to this or I'm going to that space, and you actually haven't pulled the trigger and actually got something done. And it's so important that you think about that, because the people that are the most successful, the people, that get stuff done, that have the successful relationships, that do better in business, that live a healthy life, they may say that statement, I'm going to, and then they immediately follow it up with action. And it could be a simple thing like, you know what, I'm gonna start to write stuff down. And then what they immediately do is they go on Amazon, they order a journal, and they get it a day later, and they start to write stuff down. As opposed to saying, I'm gonna start to write stuff down. And then they hang in that thought for about 10 seconds or 20 seconds, or they just hang there forever, and they actually never, take that next step. Maybe they got a journal right there and they immediately start writing stuff down. I don't know. But you see what I'm saying? The most successful people, when they say they're gonna do something, they actually do it. It's so true. If they say, I'm gonna go out on Friday nights with my wife, I'm gonna start date nights. They immediately go to the wife and they say, I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna go out Friday night. Or they just do it, they take action. And I think that's really what we need to look at, and you need to look at, and I need to get better at it, and hopefully you need to get better at it. of not being in the I'm gonna business. I'm gonna do this or that, where you actually take action. So important. Another thing that I wanted to share with you guys, we're just kind of hitting these topics, right? It's like 25 to 30 minutes of this topics and things to help us improve. It's so interesting, man. When I say it helps me to live it. It's just, that's why I enjoy it. And one of the reasons why I told you this, guys, I've told you this before, why I'm doing this podcast, whether anybody listens to it or not, it's a lot of times I know it's something to leave back for my family. It's a legacy that I can have on my grandkids, or my great grandkids, depending on what's going on, if we're still on this earth at that particular time. We'll have that, the memories. We'll be able to say, hey, listen to this old, audio recording of Grandpa Eddie back in, 2017. It's crazy. Listen to it. That to me just gets me excited. That gets me excited that we'll have record of that, and hopefully they can pull something out of it and help them in their relationships. But this next one I want to talk about is busyness is often your greatest obstacle to success. And I kind of put an image or a quote on there on my Facebook page and all the social media pages, I believe this morning in regards to that. But busyness is often your greatest obstacle to success. Think about that. Busyness. Please do not mistake your busyness with progress or getting yourself to the desired destination or winning the day. Busyness does not mean that you are productive. And I think what we have is we have a lot of people running around. I know we have it in real estate a ton. When I go to these little masterminds or these little groups, we have people that come in, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm just so busy, I just can't do anything, and it's hard, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that, and I wanna do this, but I just don't have time. It's just crazy right now. And I'm thinking in my mind, it's almost like, and I'm not saying in all cases, but it's almost like a badge of honor in today's society to be running around like crazy. And it used to be the opposite way. It used to be, and this is maybe a long time ago, but it used to be if you were, calm and collect and kind of, had all your stuff in order, that was actually a sign of success. And that actually meant that, yeah, you had your stuff together and stuff wasn't out of control. But it seems like now, it's more like people are going, the busier they are, they think that they're being productive, and it's not the case. It's often, as I said, your busyness is your obstacle or your greatest hindrance towards success, towards what it is that you're trying to achieve. You being incredibly busy and doing maybe busy work in your business isn't going to get you quicker to success or that desired destination that you may want to be in your business. Now, if your goal in real estate or sales or whatever is just to be running around like mad doing everything, not delegating or not empowering other people, and you just like that, you just like to be busy, 6, 8 hours, 12 hours a day and just do everything and really have little for the other things in life, if that's what your goal is, and great, busyness is perfect for you, then that's exactly what you should be doing. But listen, if that's not your goal, if your goal is to really crush it in your business, but also be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor by spending good quality time with your kids and good quality time at home with your spouse or whatever relationship you're in, be able to, take Sundays off or take days of the week off or do whatever it may be, if that's what you like, being busy is the opposite, right? It's just taking away from those things. And it's not going to get you there any quicker. What will get you there the quickest is being incredibly productive, having a productive day. And in order to have a productive day, you have to know what it is that you need to do to be productive. And it goes back to the simple things, the most important areas of your life, discovering, identifying, and writing down what the 1 to 3 most important things to do in those key areas, or the non-negotiables or the my musts, and then getting those done. And then what you do is, over time, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, you're incredibly productive because you're getting the most important activities done. The MIAs, you're getting the most important activities done in the day, and then you're being productive. If every single day you got the most important things done Monday through Friday in your business, okay, those things that you know that are obvious that you need to do, if you got those done and didn't let the minor things take away from the major things, over a 5, 6 month, a year period, your results will be off the chart. The same thing in your marriage. If you're running around busy, let's say whatever it is, grocery shopping, doing laundry, but you're forgetting about your spouse, and guys, the same thing, right? Men, you're busy, so you're hanging out the office till 6, 7, 8, but then you're coming home and you got to go to the office, you got to check emails, you got to do this and that, because in actuality, you're really avoiding the relationship that you should be nurturing and the relationship that you should be taking care of. You're not being productive. You're masking that with being busy. All those different things. If you're running around like, it's so interesting, guys. Sorry, I got distracted. Somebody walked by and waved at me here in the conference room, but I think I'm getting distracted too because it's so hot. Like, I'm really, really starting to sweat, and I'm glad we're at 26 minutes now before I start dripping like crazy. But listen, guys, I really want you to understand that. Do not mistake busyness for being productive. And often your busyness is the greatest obstacle to your success. And think about that. Think about that. Okay, last thing, and I'm going to end it here. The last thing, I listened to a little bit of Tony Robbins, and I'm sure you heard Tony Robbins as well. But one of the things that I love so much that just makes so much sense to me is the idea of raising your standards. I mean, think about that. Often what we do is we raise ourselves to the standards that we have set for ourselves, and or the standards of the people that are around us. And that's so crucial that we understand that. We have to make sure, we have to look at our life, and we have to see where our standards are. And I think if you're listening to this podcast, or you're watching this podcast on YouTube, and you made it this far, 27 minutes, then I feel you're the type of person that has high standards, and that's so important, in your business, whatever it may be, if you're in customer support or you're in sales, just whatever it is, that your standards are high, that you're going to serve the client in a tremendous way, that you're going to stand out and do everything ethically, you're going to do everything to the best of your ability, and your standards aren't low. Everything is top notch. In all parts of your business, everything is top notch. That's raising of the standards. Okay? The same thing in your relationships, right? You don't want to have a mediocre marriage. You don't want to have mediocre relationships. Just raise your standards. Don't be okay with mediocre. If it's not good, spend less time on social, spend less time whining and complaining, and communicate with the other person and start to take action. Okay? Raise your standards. There's so many people that are dissatisfied with mediocre. Don't. Okay? Same thing in your health. Don't say, I'm just getting older and that's just the way it is. My body's starting to break down. Yes, your body is going to break down. It is going to be tougher as you get older, but don't lower your standards. Do something about it. Raise your standards. Go do something. Say, I don't care if my body's getting older, this and that. I'm going to still take time to take care of it. Whatever it may be. Raise your standards as a parent. Just because you may have had crappy parents, and just because they may have not raised you the way that you would like to raise your kids, don't fall back into that trap of raising, being like your parents. Raise your standards. Say, listen, I'm going to be an amazing parent. I'm going to get it done. I'm going to be the best parent that I can possibly be. That's raising your standards. So look at that. Go through the key areas of your life and ask yourself, where are your standards? Can you raise them up? And look at that. Don't have mediocre, don't have low standards. Raise it up, get it up there, and then start taking action every single day to match or map your ambitions of your standards being set higher. Okay? Perfect. Okay, well that's the end of 30 minutes. Bam, right on 30 minutes. And I'm getting super hot in this conference room, but I want to appreciate you and thank you so much. Make sure that you subscribe somewhere. I know you can subscribe on iTunes. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Share this podcast if you think it helps other individuals. Please, please share it. Thank you guys, and we will get episode number 7 in a couple days. And thank you, thank you, thank you. Bye. See you guys. Where's the finish? If I can find it, where is it? Oh, you guys can see how sweaty I am now. I'm trying to see how to stop the video. Okay, here we go. Get it back. Okay.